Welcome back to CBS Sports HQ. Let's take a look at Brandon Marcello's latest college football power rankings. Entering week 3 of the season, Miami climbs into the top 3. My Noles keep on climbing after a 77-3 win on Saturday over East Texas A&M. John Mateer keeps those Sooners rolling on as his Heisman stock continues to rise. For much more on these power rankings, we welcome in the curator, Brandon Marcello himself, our college football insider, former ACC Player of the Year, our quarterback, Danny Kanell. Guys, it's great to see you. Let's go ahead and start with Georgia here. They fall out of the top 5 after not covering versus Austin Peay. Their first test of the 2025 season will really come this weekend at number 15, Tennessee. Brandon, what should we expect out of the Dogs as they begin SEC play?
Well, I want to see more out of the offense, some more consistency there. You know, this past weekend was, I don't know, maybe it was the weather delay, but the 28 points is the fewest at home in 2 seasons. The margin of victory was the smallest in 9 years against an FCS team. I've got some concerns about Georgia offensively. Defensively, I think they're better than they were last year, and they were pretty darn good last year. But again, I'm wanting to see some stuff from the offense, but also in the trenches. The trenches is kind of what held them back a little bit last season and going and making a deeper run into the playoffs. The big test this week against Tennessee that I think is going to show a lot, not only about Georgia, obviously, but also Tennessee and just really the health, I think, overall of the SEC as a conference.
Yeah, I'm with you, Brandon. I want to see more from Gunnar Stockton, who I still think is very much a question mark, like what the ceiling could be for the Georgia Bulldogs. If he plays the way he has in these first couple games, I think the ceiling is maybe an SEC championship appearance. I don't know if they can win the SEC unless he takes a step forward. And more importantly is, where have the explosive plays been? Like across the country, we saw teams putting up huge numbers against lesser competition. Think Ohio State, Bama, Oregon, Florida State, like programs that have better talent. They were just able to find explosive plays. They couldn't find them. Zachariah Branch, the transfer from USC, was supposed to be this dynamic playmaker. He only had 3 catches for 17 yards, was a little bit non-existent. I'm torn because there's a part of me, Brandon, that's like, well, maybe they're holding some stuff back, but they better be ready to find it because that trip to Knoxville is not going to be easy. And, you know, Knoxville, Tennessee just found out they're without a couple of their best secondary players. This should be an opportunity, and yet I'm a little bit tepid on whether Georgia's going to be able to take advantage of that with the quarterback play that they've seen so far.
Let's get to Florida State here. Followed up that upset win over Alabama with their largest win in program history, beating East Texas A&M 77-3. Danny, how great does it feel seeing the Noles right back where they belong in the top 10?
All right, Jordan, it feels great. I'm a little bit upset though with Gus Malzahn because Gus Malzahn was in his bag versus East Texas A&M. I'm watching this game and he's showing all these exotic formations and they're stretching the field and they're getting all these big plays. And I'm like, why are we showing this now? Just run 2 backs in the backfield, get in, get out. And yet it was a explosive performance. I mean, they had in so many different players. I do think probably the biggest thing for me, 2 things. Deuce Robinson looks to be the real deal. He had a couple touchdowns. Squirrel White also injured in that game. So that's like your worst nightmare. It was a hand injury. Hopefully he'll be fine. Won't miss too much time. But this is exactly what Florida State fans have been desperate for after watching a completely inept offense last year. You got what you wanted in your quarterback and Tommy Castellanos, who looked dynamic as a thrower, kind of took that next step, and you really got what you wanted from Gus Malzahn. But I'm a little bit upset they were emptying out the bag versus East Texas A&M, although something tells me Gus has got a few more tricks up his sleeve the remainder of the season.
Yeah, Danny, I know Gus very well. I can tell you this. He's a lot like Madonna. He has reinvented himself. He's the new Gus Malzahn. In the past, he would hold back in games like this and felt like he had to hold things back for other opponents, not put it on film. But now he just wants to put everything out there on film to show everybody. But he's still got more in the bag. Trust me, he's got more hidden in that deep, deep, dark bag of tricks up his sleeve as well. But I think for him, he just wants to get these players confident and having fun. In the past, I think he limited that with some of his players in games like this. He wants football to be fun for these kids, and especially for a program that obviously is breaking in his new offense. And I think it's just going to take some time here for them to get even deeper down in that bag. Again, Danny, I'm telling you, there are things he's not not showing you yet.
It seems like he threw everything out there. I'm with Danny, but he also put everyone out there. Mike Norvell actually said that around 90 players saw action on Saturday. That's nearly the entire roster. It was fun to watch. Let's get to John Mateer, who continues to ascend into the Heisman Trophy contention as Oklahoma beat Michigan. Brandon, how impressive has the Sooners transfer quarterback been to you this season?
He's been great. I was there in Norman to watch this performance, and he wasn't perfect, obviously. I mean, the thing with him is, like, he doesn't really put a lot of air under the ball on some of these deep throws, and that gets him in trouble. He had one interception where he actually dropped his elbow and he allowed the ball to sail, and then several throws are just kind of flat. Everything he throws is practically a dart. He had three tip passes in this game. Should have actually had 2 interceptions, but one was dropped. But he is so dynamic with his arm, that whip fire release, but also his legs. He ran the ball 19 times against Michigan, and they were not designed runs. They did not want to run him that much. He didn't slide. He was a gamer in this. And I think the big thing for him is he's just confident because his offensive coordinator has been Arbuckle, who was his OC previously at Washington State. And they're so close in age. Arbuckle is only 29 years old. They're like a big brother, younger brother type of situation. I mean, they call each other names. They're always laughing around. But when it gets down to business in the film room, man, Arbuckle is super serious and very honest with him about his mistakes. He's only going to get better for here. I mean, but still, to put up 344 yards total and 3 touchdowns against that Michigan defense, very, very impressive.
I mean, he's changed the perception of what Oklahoma can be from the outside, but I think most importantly, inside that program, the players around him believe that he's a difference maker, and he showed that ability. And I think teams take on the personality of their head coach, and they take on the personality of their quarterback. And both, Brent Venables, known for the defensive mindset, takes over the play calling. They did a really, really good job. There were 2 big plays. If you take those away, Michigan hardly did anything all night. And then for the quarterback, I mean, we've seen programs completely shifted. We were just talking about Florida State. Look at what Thomas Castellanos has brought to that program. Last year, a Cam Ward, Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia. Like, all of a sudden, you get a difference maker, and it totally changes the confidence in that locker room. And I think Mateer brings a ton of confidence to his teammates, and he plays with a ton of confidence. That's why I kind of describe it as a roller coaster ride, because there's some ups and there's a little bit of those, your stomach drops because you're like, oh no, he didn't just throw that, or the ball gets tipped. Like you mentioned, Brandon, a couple balls could have been intercepted. They didn't. But he is a difference maker for the Oklahoma Sooners that I think that has them deservedly in the conversation for an SEC contender and a playoff contender.
All right, lastly, you guys, it's time to give credit when credit is due. South Florida has taken the college football world by storm. They are now number 11, as you see here in the power rankings, after ranked wins over both Boise State and now Florida. They will try and get a third this weekend at 3 Miami. Danny, what chance do you give them?
I give him a chance. I'm a little bit upset with Brandon, though, because I don't think he's got him high enough. I'm going to call him out for some brand bias. If USF, we were just talking about a couple teams, if they had a Florida State logo, if they had an Oklahoma logo, if they had a Michigan logo, like if they were a blue blood and they came in with any expectations, they would probably be top 5, let alone top 10. And if they do this unthinkable, because nobody in the country plays a tougher 3 games than they do, if they pull off that upset and do it 3 games in a row, I think they will be a top 5 team and deservedly slow. But right now, as far as resumes goes, nobody has 2 better wins. They dominated USF 35-7, and then to go into Gainesville, and I know they didn't win by a big margin, but physically and maybe at quarterback as well, which should be a little bit alarming for DJ Lagway fans, they looked like the better football team. I still don't know if they're getting the credit they deserve. We'll see if they can go out and do it for the 3rd time in a row.
Now, I spoke to Alex Golish on Sunday after their big win, and he told me that this was a game against Florida that they would not have won last year. And he gave me a couple of really prime examples. I mean, remember, they led Alabama, or actually they were within 5 points of Alabama late, and then they end up losing by 4 scores. And then also there was a game last season where they were against Miami, who they play this week. They were up 15-14 with less than 2 minutes remaining in the first half. They ended up losing 50-15. He thinks the difference with this team is that everybody's come together. Everybody's been on that roster for the most part for the last 2 to 3 years. They understand the process. And more importantly, quarterback Byron Brown is healthy. Remember, he missed 8 games last year. He's the engine that keeps this thing running. And as you mentioned earlier in the segment, Danny, everybody kind of takes on the personality of your head coach and your quarterback. Well, the team, I think, in a lot of ways last year had the personality of their head coach, but when they were on the field, they were missing that personality with the quarterback at times. But now that they have it, that hard-charging attitude, they don't feel like they're out of any game. And I'm telling you, there were several instances in that against Florida on the road where they could have given up or let the rope slip, especially late after they missed a 58-yard field goal to take the lead with under 3 minutes remaining. Instead, the defense runs on the field. And Nico Gramatica told me today, he goes, listen, the defense was running right by me and says, we're going to get the ball back and give you an opportunity again to win this game. And they did just that with the walk-off field goal to win it, and a big one, the biggest one of the week.
Well, they have a huge opportunity in front of them. But, Danny, we'll see if they earn more of Brandon Marcello's respect for next week's power rankings. Guys, always great to see you. Get set for the college football Saturdays with the Cover 3 podcast. I'm sure the guys will have a big game breakdown for that one. USF taking on number 3 Miami. Scan that QR code on your screen and watch and listen wherever you get your podcasts.